Hey folks, how's everybody doing? Hope you're all doing well. And I want to welcome, I got a real special guest here today. I've got a gentleman who is, I think, one of the best instructional, um, guitar instructional people on YouTube. He helped me a lot when I got back into playing, and is just a real awesome dude. And without further ado, let me bring on Ian Stich. Hey, buddy, how are you, man?
Hey, Heck, how are you, man?
I'm doing very, very well. Before we get going, we got 27 people in here already, so I'd like to just say hello to all the folks, and then we'll get chatting here. So we got Zach Thong, first one in. We got my buddy Bruce is here. Hank Hill, nice to see you. Thrash is in here. How's it going? What's up, Doc? Tempest. Thanks everybody for popping in. Terry Himes is here, the original Paramutant. What's up, Doc? Mark Wade, nice to see you, man. Oh, and Stitch Method is in here too. Good. Great you're in the chat. If anyone's got any questions for myself or for Stitch as we go, just tag one of us and we'll see that right away. Yeah. James Severin is here. Cool. Gurr, welcome. Dan in New Jersey. My buddy Dave is in here. My buddy Brian. Welcome, guys. Jeff Miller. Kevin Ilson.
Oh.
Your name? Was one of your guys. Welcome
Absolutely.
to the
He's one of my TAs and good buddies. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Dwight Bailey is here. BV Ninja, Vanzini, Bobby Lopes, mute that bozo. Pardon me, Merle J and Janice. Welcome everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. So I've been looking forward to this, doing this with you, Stitch. So
likewise.
So usually the way I do these is I kind of go back. What got you started playing? Who is your guy? All that kind of stuff, and then bring it to the forefront. So. So what? When did you start? Why did you start? Was it a particular person or a musician or?
Well, okay, yeah. So, it was back in 1991, 92, where like Def Leppard was huge, right? And Pour Some Sugar on Me.
Yes.
It was like all over MTV, and like I was really getting into rock and roll, and I wanted to play guitar because of the music that was like of that era, and then I started listening more. But then, when I was growing up, I had my bedroom here, and then my sister's bedroom was separated by a wall. And one day her boyfriend came over, and they blasted Led Zeppelin 2. Oh. And I heard Heartbreaker for the first time.
Right.
And I was like, "What in the world is this?" And that was the moment I was like, I really want to play guitar. And actually, it was also Guns N' Roses. It was Def Leppard, Guns N' Roses, and this Led Zeppelin who I just discovered. And I said, that's it, I have to play. And so I wanted to play bass, actually, for some reason, because it was actually the bass coming through the walls better than the guitar, right?
Right.
So I'd hear it, and so my friend was like, no, don't play bass, play guitar. And his father had like an acoustic guitar, and he gave it to me, and that was it. And I started playing and playing and playing. And so 91, 92 is when I started playing.
So like you were learning on your own, or were you going for lessons?
I was learning my own as best I could. And believe it or not, if I'm sure you've heard of false memory, but I don't think this is a false memory. But Ultimate Guitar was up and running back then. It didn't have as many bells and whistles, but there was tabs out there. And I had played cello before. And so so tabs to me, I understood them quite easily.
Right.
And I did take a couple lessons at this place in Smithtown, New York, in Long Island, where I grew up, with this guitar teacher named Claude, who is he was just an eccentric dude. And then I stopped taking lessons with him. And then I started taking lessons with this guy, Steve, who was just so nice. And, and the thing was, when you were taking lessons, I didn't know what I was learning per se. I knew I was getting better, but it was, I'd practice it. And then I just stopped the lessons and started self-teaching because I wanted to understand what was happening.
Right.
And then, so I probably stopped lessons by 94, I'd say. And then just started self-teaching.
Were you doing any had any bands you were playing with at the
Oh
time?
yeah, oh yeah. I had a band with a couple of my good friends. We played in the basement and we rocked out all the time, and I loved it. I mean, we played Zeppelin. We did play some Fish. I was getting into Fish, and as soon as I heard Tranastasio from Fish, that's another tangent we can talk about. But
Yeah.
yeah, we played a lot. We were like this very popular high school band, and so it was fun, and we played, and I played for quite a while in my life, up until, I mean, we don't have to skip there right there, but up until I moved to Florida, where I am now. I mean, I was playing a lot.
So you were gigging a lot then, were you?
Yeah. But we had, when I was like in high school, at the end of high school and college, I always had like a group of I had a main band and then like two side projects always going.
Wow.
And then when I graduated college, I was like, okay, I'm not going to play. I'm just going to go and you graduate college, time to work. And then I met this guy, Mike, who turned out to be like the best drummer I've ever played with in my entire life. He's just so good. And I ended up playing bass in this band because it was a reggae band, like a reggae rock band that needed a bass player. And I was like, well, if I get to play with this drummer on bass, I'm doing it. And that was awesome. And that took me up to 2005, really. And then I moved to Florida in 2005, and that was it. Just pulled the plug on my whole entire life, pulled the chute, and I just restarted here.
Any reason you just wanted a warmer climate, or?
No, well, actually, I mean, I hate talking about this part of it because my wife has a saying that we say all the time, which is different strokes for different folks.
Mm-hmm.
And there was you got to ask yourself, why are you playing in a band? What's the reason you're playing in a band? And I couldn't come up with a reason that for me that would outweigh this Groundhog's Day with Bill Murray effect. It was the same day over and over again. I couldn't shake it. It literally was when you're gigging and traveling and playing with all these gigs. You're in a different place, but it's the same day. And I just it wore on me. It definitely wore on me. And so when I moved, I visited my wife now, girlfriend at the time. We visited her mother down in Sarasota, where I am, Sarasota, Florida. Mm-hmm. And we came down November. Now I was in New Hampshire, so I was close to you, not too far away from you. Yeah. It was in New Hampshire in November, and we came down to Florida, and the doors opened up from the airport, and it was like palm trees, and it was 75 degrees. And I was like, oh yes.
So
yeah, I was like, that's it right there, And so, and the rest is, I mean, I don't know how much you want to go on this question. I feel bad. I can talk forever.
No, that's fine. That's fine. What's cool is that you haven't, it sounds to me anyway, that you've basically, it's been music all the way through. You never stop. And make a career of it. It's
funny you say that. It's really funny because when you said that, I went, shit. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse on your stream, but I was like, yeah, I guess it has been music. I had a falling out with music a little bit when I was in college. I put the guitar down for about a year and a half. It's just, when you're in college, you're trying to find yourself. Everyone's trying to find themselves. And, and I was an RA at the time, and I was in charge of 35, I say kids, but they're 1 year younger than me. And I wanted, what though? It's funny. We're playing. You're my psychologist now. But I loved being an RA because I was helping everyone, and I wasn't overbearing on them. They would come to me,
right?
Question if they needed space, they were allowed to chill in my room. If I could make them laugh, great. And caring for another human being, I really found myself my sophomore year of college, and being able to help people. And I guess that with my love of music. That's where I think Stitch Method kind of took off with those two things.
So we got a comment here from Don, 2 3/4 Jam, says, Hack, tell Stitch my buddy Marcos, Strat Player 2, is a big fan of his.
Oh, awesome. Hello, Marcos. That's great. Listen, guys, it blows my mind. It blows my mind the fact that this is not a bragging thing, but I have 120,000 subscribers. Next week, you have Steve Stein on your channel, and he has 300, 400,000. I don't know how much he has, but I know he has a crap ton more than I do. And so these are just numbers to me. But when I hear someone in person be like, "Hey, my friend really enjoys your channel. I enjoy your channel," like it really like hits me in the heart. Like really makes me feel good. And so thank you
that's awesome though. Like, I mean, you took the the helping part, and which obviously you said you found that really rewarding, and then the music part, and you were able to marry the two together. Like, it's like that's the dream job, right?
Yeah, you're right. I never really thought about it until this very moment, man. Like, honestly, no, I'm being very serious. There was, I don't know, am I talking too much? Is it on point? I like, so I remember there were several instances where people came to me in my dorm room. All right, I went to Syracuse University. I was in Flint 4A, which was the top floor, had an awesome floor. And there were several times where like people would come to me with like either a problem with class or a problem with another person, and you can see in their eyes this help me,
right?
You see in their eyes, right? And I would be like, okay, I'm gonna help you. And to be able to, I know it sounds weird, I have these in the mind of videos, right? To be able to sit with someone and hear their point of view and hear what their problems are, and to hear what they're experiencing, to try and feel what they're experiencing, so I can help get them on the way out. That translated into the fact that like and people who've watched Stitch Method know this. I for a long time got very, very frustrated with not being able to figure out how music works. And once I figured it out, I guess my brain just like the help me,
right?
And the I can help you, and with music, it just that's I guess why I love doing Stitch Method. And I just figured that out on your channel live, right there.
We got an exclusive, folks.
That was cool. I should go
awesome,
back.
Man.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about Stitch Method then. So I was, hey, Chad Boston, thanks so much for the super chat, man. Appreciate that.
Oh, it's great.
Thank you so much.
It's wonderful.
So I was telling you off air. So, and I was saying to Ian too, I'm not blowing smoke, but most of my subs know this. I didn't play guitar for 12 years, and then I came back to it.
Right.
I was on the internet and on YouTube, and I was looking for an instructor, somebody that could basically bring back what I was able to do 20 years previous. Yeah. And I came across your channel, and it's like, I can learn from this guy. This guy is talking to me. He's not talking above me. He's not talking down to me. He's talking to me. And like, it was your channel and Steve Stein, who I have coming on. You two guys, and anyone that asks me, and again, I'm not saying this because you're here. That's why I wanted to have you on. You and Steve Stein, as far as I'm concerned, there are no better instructional guys on YouTube than you.
That's amazing, man. That's
honestly,
that's amazing. Tell Steve that him and I should do a dual lesson for Guitar Hack. Be like, hey, we're gonna to give you a Christmas present. We'll do it.
Appreciate it. I need all the help I can get. Got to get rid of that hack part of my name.
No, I know, but I like it's great. It's a great name. I mean, the name itself, honestly, I think the name is great. It's great. But that's cool, man. Thank you. And I'm happy to be a part of anyone's journey, man. Like I am. That's what fuels the fire.
Yeah. And we were talking off air, and like, I teach for a living too, and I was saying to you, like, our styles, the way we teach that's probably why I locked into you. It's like, okay, this guy teaches the way I want to be taught. You know what I mean? We have very similar styles. That's
awesome. Now you gave me a comment. I'll give you a comment. So I was checking out your channel, and let me ask you a question. I mean, to me, it's pretty evident, but you like 80s music, yes?
You know what? Honestly, I'm more of a 70s guy than an 80s
guy. Good. Well, you had 70s is great. You had yourself playing Flock of Seagulls, like, on your channel. Like, you're doing a little, and like, as soon as I heard that and you played it so well, I was like, this guy gets it. I'm like, this guy gets music. He understands good music. This guy knows good music, and like, I checked it out. And so, like, I know it sounds weird. I don't know why, but I think 80s compositions are to me, like, I will never turn them off. as you know, like the synthesizer guitar stuff. Anyway, so I appreciate your taste in music very, very much. You know, so
Thanks so much for the compliment. So, all right, so let's get into the Stitch method. So,
sure.
when did all that start? Like, how long have you been doing? And was it like, were you just teaching students and then you decided to do the YouTube thing? Like, how did that all kind of?
Okay, well, I'm sure you know Sean. I'm sure you know Sean Daniel. Okay, so I owned a company called Sarasota Guitar Lessons in Sarasota, and we had multiple homes. You know, we weren't a virus, but we had multiple homes that we were in go out of business, not because of us. We always had to move around, right? And so we found this really nice place in downtown Sarasota, and we were there for about 2 years. And Sean, he was working for me, with me, you know, like, and we had met in the early days of Sarasota Guitar Lessons. And I said, hey, you know, you should be a teacher. And we became friends there. And then he started a YouTube channel, and he's like, dude, you should start a YouTube channel. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, I really hate, I mean, I don't watch a lot of YouTube, and I have a hard time with social media. I just, I'm a very like this type of person.
Right.
And I was like, no. And then I have a student, Lyle, who I still talk to. He's also my AC guy. And I was working on this thing, the Never Lost Pentatonic. And I was like, and I showed him it. And he's like, Ian? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you got to tell the world about this. And I'm like, no. And he's like, trust me. He's like, I'm on YouTube every day. He's like, I've never seen anything like this. And I was like, huh. Exactly. And so with that motivation, I took my crappy MacBook. I mean, if you watch those videos, oh my God, I was just saying on my feed last night, like I want to redo all of them, because I was sitting in my huge like living room area that's like pretty much a concrete floor, and the reverb. And I was just like, hey, to me, I'm like, oh, this should have 1,000 views in a couple years. Right. And then like and then all of a sudden, like 100,000 views, 200,000 views, 300, 400. And I was like, what is going on? And anyway, so because of the Never Lost Pentatonic, you know, thing that blew up, and it kind of gives you like, I'm being serious. I mean, if you're new on YouTube and you get 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 views in a month or two, it instantly gives you street credit.
Yes.
You know, and I was like, wow. And it was a lot of pressure, because I was like, what if this is my only contribution? You know, like but I said, okay, let's just keep going with it and see. And people really started to enjoy it. And I got, you know, lots of donations and stuff early on, and I got better equipment, and the rest is just history. And I just try to think of topics that I think are important. You know, to be very, very honest with you, when I first started, I was pumping videos out left and right. But now I'm on like pretty much a once every other week schedule, because I still teach full time.
Right.
I can't give that up. That is such a big part of me. Like a one-on-one connection. That's like it's weird. You guys know me as, you know, Stitch Method, and like I'm like, oh, I'm just this like bearded fat guy in Sarasota who teaches, you know, in person. But not anymore. Now everything's FaceTime and Skype. But anyway, so that's the whole big rocket ship of Stitch Method.
Well, I got to tell you, well, I mentioned this off air, but you know, I went to Summer NAMM last year. We were talking about this earlier, like, and I see Ian walking by, and I'm like, I don't know if I called you Ian or Stitch Method. I don't remember.
Oh no, I think he said Ian. And I was like, oh great, yeah, hey
Ian. And he goes, hey, Guitar Hack, and I'm like, you know who the hell I am?
Yeah.
The only person at Summer NAMM that knew who I was. That was really cool. It was nice meeting you there, man.
Oh yeah, that was great. That was a great time. That was the last NAMM, right? That was
Summer NAMM last July.
Yeah, so that was right before my 40th birthday. That was it's funny because that NAMM I had to do a hit and run. I remember like oh my God, my stay in Nashville was my first hotel room had fleas. And then the second hotel room, like in the hotel, it was a nice hotel. Right. And then the refrigerator broke, and my wife's back went out. And it was like, I was at NAMM for 1 day. I was supposed to be there for 3. I remember that was crazy. Yeah.
So music. Let's get into some of the music stuff. So you mentioned Fish. Now, one thing, if anyone watches your channel, immediately they're going to hear about Fish. It's true.
I know. I'm so sorry.
You're gonna hear about Fish. You're gonna hear about Trey Anastasio,
Yeah.
and you're gonna hear about Jimmy Page. Those are the big two. So like,
Yeah.
those are your main guys, I'm assuming, right?
They are, how do I explain this? Like, okay, so I've never met Jimmy Page ever, and I don't think I ever will. But that guy is an effing guitar god. He is. I don't care what you say. People are like, oh, Led Zeppelin plagiarist. I'm like, I don't care. Like the way he plays guitar, what he does is fantastic. Now, I had the pleasure of meeting Trey last May 28th. Yeah, May 28th. And I met him, had a chance to shake his hand and thank him. And I was apprehensive to do it because there's always this. I've met several of my heroes, and you're like, crap, like they're not who I think they are, or. But Trey was just like 100% who I thought he would be, and it was amazing. It was amazing. So really quickly, so I'm letting you know, like, these guys are my heroes and they remain my heroes. And I want to explain something. It's like you and me, man. As we get older, we're going to slow down. Like, it's just it, right? And, when I say Fish, people are like, I can't get into Fish. You have to understand, I got into Fish in 94, 95, 96, and 97.
Right.
And those years, Trey Anastasio, if you go listen to anything live from that, and who cares about the singing? Everyone's like, I can't stand there singing. I get it. If you listen to a live concert, 93, 94, 95, and you listen to the moments where they are like picking it up, nobody can do it better than Trey Anastasio. That guy is an ad-lib storyteller on the guitar in real time, and he can take you from a beginning to climax to end in a song like no other. And so, yes, really big part of my wanting to learn this instrument. Absolutely.
Well, that's like your formative years. That's when you're, and everybody has that time, like, and they carry those people all the way, like you're saying, getting older. But those first impressions, they're the ones that seem to last, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, and that's the saddest part about getting older. It just is, because like your kids are like, oh, Trey Anastasio 94, was life like black and white back then? And you're like, well, I ought to, and it's so hard to take somebody now in 2020 who's heard Fish in the year 2020, who they're a different band now. Don't get me wrong. Do not get me wrong. Trey's still awesome, but it's not on fire. Like when you're listening to something in 94 or now in the present, you're assuming it's always going to be like this in the present. And so when you're talking to somebody 25 years later, you're talking about that present. They're hearing the real present. It's hard. Anyway, I don't know what the question was. I just wanted to.
No, I exactly. It's like the Zeppelin. Same can be said for Led Zeppelin, right? Like when you were Led Zeppelin, they were already broken up, right?
Oh yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, John Bonham was dead. Everybody,
they were done, right? Now I'm a little older than you, so I was around for. I was too young to get into Zeppelin until actually I didn't really get into Zeppelin until they were broken up and John Bonham passed away. But, But but you'll never, like, Jimmy Page will never do that again.
Ever. It never. And that's exactly it. I mean, like, we don't even know if Jimmy Page, I'm sure he picks up a guitar now and still plays, but you got to admire people for when they're in their prime, and then admire them for what they've done as they get older, and that's why, like, the Grateful Dead, a lot of people like, well, why do you want to go see Dead and Company? Why do you want to go see this? The Dead and Company is so slow. And it's like, well, listen, there's still 3 remaining members of the Grateful Dead on that stage, and there's John Mayer, who's not that bad, so it's like,
right.
Anyway, so the idea is, I always pay is it the word homage to the original content of things. And you're right. And talking about Led Zeppelin, like right before we went live, I was playing a little and getting my sound down, not an acoustic. And I was like, oh, Led Zeppelin. And that's the funny thing about Led Zeppelin to me is I hear any Led Zeppelin song and it's like, oh, I can go for that now. Like with any Led Zeppelin song, it's not like that with other bands. Sometimes you gotta be like, okay, this album, this. You put a Led Zeppelin song on, and I'm like, delicious. That is, I don't care what it is. I don't care if I heard it a million times. I'm listening to it again.
It's true. It's true. We got a question for you. And folks, if you have questions, please tag me, or you can tag Stitch Method. He's also in the chat.
Yeah.
Brian S. is asking, ask Ian if he was into The Firm with Jimmy Page.
No, I don't know much of The Firm.
He formed with Paul Rogers, was the singer.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was how many? Geez, I'm trying to remember. I know they one record, maybe 2 records they put out. Somebody else knows better. Let me know.
You see, it's weird. It's weird, and again, like I think some people who are fans of Stitch Method are here. I have a very narrow-minded mindset on guitar that I cannot control. I cannot control it. To me, and this is just me. Remember, different strokes for different folks, right? Led Zeppelin and Jimmy Page. That's it. So if I hear other things, it doesn't vibrate me. You remember, I guess the idea is this internal vibration of what captured my, I don't know, my intrigue. It's like, I think, remember, what was it, the Galloping Gertie, the bridge that collapsed because the wind and the resonance made it sway, which I thought was incredible. The wind can make steel and asphalt just move like that.
Frequency, yeah.
And so when I discovered it, and so when I listen to music, and as stupid as it sounds, and I can't control myself, this is not a conscious thing, everyone. I have all these bands and guitar players that have captured this one frequency. And if other things are kind of like it, it's well, it's not that frequency for me.
Not the same.
So I have these favorite bands of Fish. I have, Led Zeppelin, Tool, Wilco, the Beatles, and they all have their certain place, and
right.
And somebody's like, oh, have you listened to this side project? I'm like, well, if that side project takes me out of this frequency length that I really then I'm not going to enjoy it.
I'll get another question here from Dave DR Guitars for Stitch Method guitar. If you get in a guitar funk and don't really want to play practice, what do you do to pull yourself out of the funk?
Oh, that's a good question. I have a video on my channel about getting out of a rut, and we have all these ideas and stuff. But right now, I know it sounds weird. Right now, this whole COVID crap, I'll answer the question. I feel like a politician where I'm deflecting, but I'm not. I'll answer the question. I think that everyone is having a hard time. Not everyone. I think a lot of people are having a hard time finding motivation to practice because I feel like when we're living our quote unquote normal lives or pre-March of 2020, we exit whatever we're doing to go and practice guitar. Practice is not only learning, but it's an escape from reality as well.
Right.
It's we have family, we have friends, we have work, and all of a sudden I can now carve out this half hour.
Mm.
And we go, yeah, but now it's everything's on shutdown. We're all floating in limbo, and this clock is hovering over all of our faces, being look at all the time you have to practice. Look at it. And you're going, but I don't feel the need to because I'm not being squeezed into practice time. And so I feel like a lot of people in a rut. And so to get out of a rut, listen, I'm one lazy dude. That's what I think people don't realize about this. I know that a rut is temporary, and I don't touch the guitar. This is what I do, me personally. I have videos on ideas, but me personally, when I'm in a rut, I know it's temporary. And I let myself be in the rut. I feel the rut feelings. I deal with them. I process them. I know they're not going to kill me. And then once they're processed, I start, and I feel motivated to play again. I play again. It's hard to force how the current of life. It's hard to force that into different paths when it's just pushing you. I mean, and so I tend to when I'm not feeling motivated. I know it's temporary. I know I'm a guitar player. And I know that I'm in a rut for a reason. Let me listen to what's happening, and then let me process it, and then hopefully it ends sooner than later. And that's how I do it.
What are your choice of electric guitar strings, both brand and gauge?
Ooh.
Well, he's asking what are yours and Ian's. Oh, both of us.
Okay, you go first. Yours is the more official answer, I promise you.
I'm a D'Addario guy. I play D'Addario nines basically, and I put those strings on all my guitars, regardless of scale length.
Okay. Oh, so you put nines on. That's awesome. I want to try playing with nines again. I had a conversation about someone with nines, and I play with tens, and I might want to go back to nines just to see what it feels like. I might overbend and have to control it, but I have a fun anyway. So for 20 years, I played D'Addario.
Right.
Okay, because I grew up in Long Island. They're a Long Island company. I loved them.
Right.
And then, oh my God, I can't even remember the name. How can I not remember this name? Ernie Ball does such a good job. Okay, just to let you know, everybody's with Ernie Ball. They never pay me for crap. Okay, they've helped me out. And they've donated stuff to my channel and for the workshops and stuff. But like their coated string, which I forgot what it's called. If somebody knows what their coated strings are, their coated string, not elixirs. I'm not a fan of elixirs. Sorry, guys. That's just me. Like everybody's pH is different. Everybody's ear is different. But for electric, 10 gauge, the Ernie Ball coated ones, like they give me such a the only word I can give you that I feel from those is the word growl. They give me a growl that I love, that I hear, this metallic growl that I'm like, oh yeah. And so that's what I use now. But yeah, that's going to answer my question.
Well, D'Addario, they put out a set of strings that actually they debuted them at Summer NAMM, and they were nice enough to give me a set because they hadn't released them to market yet, and they're called XTs, and they are coated, but like micron coating.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if I wasn't told they were coated strings, I couldn't tell.
Really, XTs?
They're called XTs, and they, okay. For me, I don't like the sound of brand new strings. I like them 2 days later. Like
right? Oh yeah, me too. Oh my God, that's so funny you say that. You're right. The timbre on them is terrible.
But these strings sounded good immediately, and they last a long time.
Okay, so I'm going to take a look at those because same thing with the Ernie Ball. That's what sold it on me. I was tuning it up like, and I played a chord, and I was like, that doesn't sound like how the guitar should sound when you first tune it. Yeah. And it was great. As a matter of fact, what's funny is Ernie Ball emailed me like a year ago, said, hey, can we send you 2 different types of strings? We're not going to tell you what they are. They're A and B. And can you put them on and give us a review of them? Cool. And I was like, I'm like, I don't like A's for some reason. I'm like, they're not good, but like B is really a good string. And then like 3 months later, they came out with these strings and sent me ones, and I was like, I think this is what I test ran. I'm like, this is great. And so anyway, so that's awesome. I'll check out some XTs too. I mean, I'm always looking for nice fingers. Feel.
XTs are cool. Guitar Hack. It's another question from Brian. Another string question for Ian. If you are a new player or someone who is new with older hands, do you recommend lighter strings for your students, or does it matter?
Yes and no. Now, don't get me. See, okay, so yeah, lighter strings are easier to push. They're easier to push, and so okay, so let's talk about this. I don't know. Maybe you can help me with the proper analogy. Like, it's like, like is it called? Okay, I think the candlestick effect, right? Where like the top portion, like the way that a basketball net is hung on a pole, like one part of it will push this way, the other this way, and it kind of locks in position. Does that make sense? How? Yeah. Okay. So, when you're dealing with a new student, you always, I believe this is just, you do the lighter gauge strings at first, so you don't have to push as hard, so you get the calluses. But the problem is that your right hand is going to get really sloppy because the strings are so slack. Sorry, can you see me? My whole computer is kind of like got really slow.
It just got choppy, but your voice is still clear. So.
Yeah, it's probably my kids with all their stuff, but I'll text my wife and tell them to log off of all their stuff. Okay, so while we do that, I'll explain while I get less choppy. I'm frozen now, aren't I?
Yeah, you're freezing.
Oh, okay. Okay, don't worry, we'll get this. Let's see. Hold on, give me 1 second, Jenny. I'm just gonna tell. Like, I'm sure my kids are on all of the Wi-Fi. Have kids stop using all the Wi-Fi, please. And that will survive this. It could be my computer as well, but I'm sorry about that.
No worries.
So you can listen to my my voice. the idea is the left hand's going to get callous, but the right hand's going to be getting hit. It's going to be your pick's going to be dragging through those strings so hard, and then all of a sudden you got to get tighter strings for your right hand, because now your right hand needs to feel. Oh man, I feel so bad that this whole thing is frozen. I don't know what's going on here. Could be me, could be you. The idea is now the right hand has to up the gauge a little bit so that it could feel the resistance of the strings, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
And so give me 1 second. I'm gonna try and clear up some memory here. I don't know what's going on my computer. It could be me, it could be you. So let's see. Is that better? Who knows? It'll get better, I promise. And so starting with light gauge strings is good for your left hand, but then once your left hand starts to get calloused, I feel like you want to put a higher gauge on just so the pick can start working with the right hand, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I've always played with 9s from day one, and the odd time I'll try somebody's guitar that has 10s, and I think this is an age thing because the strength of my hand is getting weaker.
Yeah,
like, and if I go and I play like a gig, and if you play a gig, I'm playing like 3 hours, right?
Right.
If I have 10s on, I wouldn't have any more power in my hands to bend notes by
right.
So that really, now I'm not going to drop in gauge. I'm not going to go down to 8s or anything. I'm going to stick with the 9s. But you know what I mean? Like, I think that it'll tire the hand out. So that's the other part of it. Like, if you're a kid, you got all kinds of energy.
No, yeah. Can I ask you a question? If I leave the stream and click back on it, am I gonna be able to come back on?
Yeah. You can
because I just like I'm looking at and it says that I'm on Chrome right now. It says it's not responding, and I'm like, okay. So I kind of want to like close it and start it back up, and I feel bad. I know everyone's here, but I rather do it. I mean, this is what happens in real life streaming, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that gonna be terrible?
No, do it.
All right, everyone, I'll be back. You guys talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back. I'm
just gonna say hello to some of the new people that popped in.
Yeah, let's see what we can do here. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no worries.
All right.
6-string Stanger, welcome. Lars Guitars, how you doing? Blackjack Guitar Nut, Russ Markart, welcome. Soda's in here. How's it going? Johnny Bean, hey buddy. Metalhead Hippie is here. James Severin, Lori's Mishmash, nice to see you. You love the Thursday lives, appreciate it, Lori. Thanks so much for that. 1618, welcome. I'm just going down here. And again, if you guys have questions, please fire them up. I'm going down. Matt Mueller, how are you? Okay, I think if I've missed anybody, there's Daniel Horsley. If I've missed anybody, just please tag me. Half Face is here. Thrash is here. Rick Hefner. Cool. Sean Zimmerman, welcome. Dan in New Jersey.
Oh.
There you are.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys.
No worries, man. No worries. I just say a few people. Dwight Bailey is here. Nice to see you. Sandra Picorni, how are you? All right, I'm back to the chat. Okay.
Great. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. My fan on my computer started running, and all of a sudden everything kind of slowed down. I was like,
starting to work, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Francis Bazillion, welcome. Paul Lou, how are you? And Bailey just subbed to your channel, Stitch. So there you go.
Nice. Well, thank you, man. That's so kind. This has been a whirlwind and a half, man. It really has. It really has. Oh God, yeah. I do love it. But anyway, so I mean, the idea of if you're okay, so what do you think of flat wound strings?
I can't say. I've never used them.
Yeah, I've touched them a couple times. The feeling is okay. They feel like really smooth. You can't feel any sort of barb on them. They feel like just a nice smooth wire. But I feel like the tone of them just, I don't know, they're different from me. So some people say to do flat wounds, but anyway, start off in lower gauge. And the thing, you got to get calluses. I mean, like, you got to get calluses, right? I mean, like, here, can you show me your fretting hand fingers? Are they gross? Or are they okay? They're fine.
They're okay. They don't even look like they have calluses on them.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
they have calluses, but they're fine. I don't know if I don't know if you heard. I told this once on my live feed. My calluses saved my hand because I was, are you familiar with Reddit at all?
Yeah.
Like, do you know like the sub today I effed up at all? It's anyway. These are things that happen by like you tell stories of how things got screwed up. There's a story how we effed up really bad. We had a fire right on the other side of this wall. We had a fire pit going. And I was not paying attention. I was not drinking. I was not stoned. I was whatever. And I just grabbed the fire pit cover with my hands for some weird. And but no, it was like, whoa! But it just took like my calluses off. It didn't burn me. Nothing. And I was like, oh, thank you for being a guitar player. Thank you. And I was like, I couldn't believe how stupid I was there. But
Tony Iommi there for a minute.
Yeah. Oh, it could have been a lot worse. So anyway, yeah, get those calluses. My God, that's so funny. But anyway, talk about flat one.
No problem. So again, folks, if you got questions for Stitch or myself, please tag us in the chat. So you started. So your takeoff or your blow up, I guess, was the Never Lost method. That's sort of what.
Yeah,
on the map, right?
The Never Lost Pentatonic really put me on the map, but then like the Blues Primer playlist, like all these little like blues tricks, like these blues tips and how to think about the blues. I made a playlist that helped out. But I'll tell you, like for some reason, I don't understand this stuff. But like my Peter Green and Carlos Santana video for Black Magic Woman, like just explaining how where the harmonic minor scale came into play in that, like that video, it's not that it took off. It's just that was the video where I kept like comments were like, oh, this guy's a good teacher. Holy crap, this guy's a good teacher. And I was like, oh, okay. And I mean, that video has a lot of views now, but I think it was the Never Lost Pentatonic. And I think it was a lot of word of mouth. I mean, I used to get emails all the time. I mean, oh my God, hundreds of emails a week. Like I just told my friends about you. I got maybe it was a live stream or an email or a comment. Some guy, I forgot what it was. This is like literally, this happened maybe a month and a half ago. One of the fans of so this guy is I guess some sort of electrician or AC guy or something. He was working on a home,
right?
And he played guitar, and the homeowner had a lot of guitars, and they started talking, and the homeowner was like, "You have to watch Stitch Method. You have to watch Stitch Method." And this guy like messaged me like, "I walked into this guy's house. I've never heard of you before. He told me to watch you. He's like, I love your channel." Anyway, so I think that Never Lost, the Peter Green thing, and a lot of word of mouth kind of just helped out, That's
cool. So we haven't really talked. Well, we talked off air about some gear. So let's talk about some gear. So what are your guitars of choice?
Okay. Yeah, okay. Okay, everybody, don't freak out. All right, so my guitar of choice I walk around the house with is this one that you've seen on Stitch Method. This is the one that I started Stitch with. This is a PRS SE Custom Soap P90 guitar. Mm-hmm. This thing is so light, the neck on this thing is so comfortable. I love it. I love this guitar. And everyone's like, "Oh, I can't believe you like a Korean made PRS." I'm like, deal with it. Like, I love this guitar.
Right over there.
Yeah. It's so good. It's so good, right?
Yeah.
But to be honest, I mean, the guitar I learned everything on from 13 years old and here is my Gibson Les Paul.
Nice.
This thing weighs 5 times that.
Right.
But this has I don't know if you can see it. This has a 60s neck on it. It's super thin. It's thin. Especially here where it has snapped 3 times here. Snapped. But this is mine. It's never going anywhere. I love this thing, and the sound on this, like, it's like I grew up with the sounds. When I hear it, it's home, and to me, it always sounds right. And so there's that. But I will say, I do have the American, was a standard. This guy, this Strat. A lot of people gave me crap for not having a Strat, and I was like, okay, I'll get a Strat. And I picked this one, and this one is awesome for when it's Strat time. Like when it's Strat time, this is awesome. But my go-to guitar whenever I'm walking around the house is the PRS. If something, then like when I'm test running something, I'll pick up the Les Paul. And then when it's strat time, and I need this, I'll use this. And this is a great guitar. As for pedals and as for the lackluster setup that, everyone, I wish I can be like, what's his name? Is it Tim Pierce, the guy who has like all the gear behind him? I wish, first of all, I'm always saying to myself, like, I feel like that guy's surrounding himself with way too many like EMFs. Like that's just a lot of magnetic frequencies. But the idea is I just have, there we go. I just have a simple little Boss ME80 pedal. I traded in my entire floor worth of pedals. A, because it was cumbersome. B, I was going to be going on the road. And the idea is I wanted to streamline, and I have my Yamaha THR10 2 amp. And these things, like honestly, for YouTube and for practicing, this is all I need right now. And so that's my lackluster gear setup. And everybody's like, oh, can you tell me what kind of tone you're using? We talked about this.
Yes.
Off air too. This is true, guys. Now, it's so embarrassing to say. Look at this. Brian Stich needs a Helix. Funny you should say that.
We're going to get to that.
We're going to get to that. We'll get to that. What the hell was I just talking about? Oh yeah. So I plug my guitar into my Yamaha THR10. I have a little MacBook. It's right here. This is right here. And it comes with GarageBand. And I usually just pump up the vocal to a narrative setting. And sometimes I will import the guitar, and I try not to F with it that much. I probably put on the clean studio setting, and I'll listen and tweak anything. And then when I did my Led Zeppelin video for No Quarter, I was like, I really wanted that Jimmy Page growl, right. And I was just pushing buttons, and I got it. And I was like, oh my God, this sounds so good. And I printed it, never saved the setting. So everyone's like, how did you get that setting? And I'm like,
remember.
I'm like, I have no idea. I was like a monkey in a typewriter, just like that. And that was it.
We got a comment from Kevin Ilson.
Yes.
And welcome to the channel. Got a lot of new names, folks. I should mention two things. One is, if you're not subbed to Ian, I have his link in the description below, and I also have his link in the cards.
Nice.
And if you're not subbed to my channel, hey,
sub this. Kevin Ilson is a So I hate talking about business stuff, but I started doing group lessons. Right. Live huge group masterclasses. They're actually quite awesome. He is one of the TAs there, and so he will be teaching people for me as well. And he's in the group. So Kevin's a smart dude.
Well, he's making a comment. He says, "I think yours, in the mind of videos, are unique and at least partly responsible for the success of the channel.
Oh, nice.
Nobody else dissects the solos like this." So there you go.
Oh, that's okay. Thanks, Kevin. You're probably right. Let me tell you, it's a mind F. It really is making a YouTube video, because you make it, you have your intent, and then you watch it, and you're like, did I get my intent there? Are people going to get this? Like, did I do my job? And then you set it free. And my latest video with Slabo Day for Peter Green, like, okay, for everyone who's new to Stitch Method and everyone who's not, I talk a lot. I get it. It's the #1 comment I get on my channel. You talk too much. And I always type in, you spelled teach wrong. So like, teach too much. And so, but the idea is, with that video, when I was watching it back in playback, I had the scroll bar. It was like a 20-minute video.
Right.
And like the first 3 minutes of it, it's me talking, and I'm like, okay, I'm talking, and I'm making sense. I'm putting everything into motion. I like what I'm doing, but I'm like, have I over talked here? And so I started clicking on random times in the time bar, and I never hit one of me playing the guitar. And I was like, oh, I'm talking too much, but I released it anyway. But people really did enjoy it. So
here's another comment from Matt Mueller. That's another new name for me. Welcome to the channel. He says, a lot of teachers can show you what to play. Very unique is the ability to get in the mind of the person who played the solo and allows you to think and create as they did. So there you go.
Okay, so I'll tell this quick story. This is a story of validation, or whatever, which was, some people might know this, but I don't know if you know. Do you know who Neil Cassell was by chance? It's okay if you don't. He was a guitar player in the Chris Robinson Brotherhood, also in this band called Circles Around the Sun. And actually, I always forget to mention this, but in 2015, now I'm going to tell a story, and I feel bad telling it, but you have to understand, 2015 is before Stitch Method, and it's when the Grateful Dead had their 50th concert. And to make a long story short, they had this intermission music that I heard, and this moment, dude, is so fresh in my mind. I can be there like it was a second ago. Okay, so it doesn't seem that far away from me, but I was listening to this performance, and it was this dude Neil Casale playing, and I couldn't tell if it was Garcia. I couldn't tell what was happening. It blew my mind. Started doing research on this guy, blah 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 blah, and then I did an In the Mind of for Neil Casale for the actual song that blew my mind in 2015.
Right.
And even though I launched an In the Mind of for Neil Casale way beyond when Stitch Method started, that was literally one of my first In the Minds of, and the song was called Saturday's Children, and it's before Stitch Method, and so it was time to do it, and I did it on Stitch Method, and then 2 months later, I happened to go to a music festival where Neil was, and I was trying to work up the courage, dude, I swear, to go to the back, gate, up like from an 80s movie, and like wait for him to come off stage and be like, yo, Neil. But I didn't have to. I was walking across the field, and my wife's like, dude, there's Neil Casale. And I look, and there he is. He's doing an interview, and people have heard this story, I'm sure, but he's in the middle of an interview, and you see him look up at me like this, and he goes back to the interview, and I watch him go, hold on, to the interview. He turns to me and points his finger, and he goes, Saturday's Children, Stitch, get over here. And I was like,
wow.
What? And I was like, what? And he's like, dude, he's like, I watched that video. I loved it. He's like, you did such a good job of explaining how to play that song. He's like, better than I could even do it. He's like, I loved it. And I grabbed him and hugged him. I was like, oh my God. And we didn't become friends there, but we exchanged information. We text once in a while. And that moment really, really solidified the idea of, wow, I really, whether or not I'm getting into the mind of them, but the fact that I'm communicating what's going on effectively. And that was a true story of like validation. It really made my day.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Neil committed suicide last year. And that's why is that on? And that really sucked. But that moment will live forever in my life. It was an awesome moment. So
that's insane. So we were about to talk about Helix.
Oh, Helix. Yes.
So we're talking off air. Actually, we talked about this when we did the test thing 2 days ago. And I was telling you about the effects and all this, and then you're saying, look at this thing that I got.
Yeah. You want to get it? I'll go get it.
Okay.
You stay right here. Everybody stay right here.
Look what Stitch has. That he has.
Okay, I still have yet to learn this. I still have yet to like master it. Okay?
Yeah.
Should I show it?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, sure.
All right. Is that it? Is that good?
Yep, you got it. So Ian has the stomp. I'm like, you have every sound. And I was telling him, and because we just talked about the flock of seagulls, it's like I got that sound out of that box. Like that thing can do everything. Everything.
I really got to learn this. I put it in, and it was very intimidating for me because I'm a lazy, simple dude, and I know the sounds are badass. I just have to put the time. I just have to put the time in for it, and I'm embarrassed. I have this. I'm not embarrassed. It's just I should be using this over, and so I will. I'll promise people. I promise people.
Yeah. Well, it'll come with presets in there. Now I'm going to warn you, most of them are really bad.
Okay.
You can get better presets to put them in, or you can create your own. Now you've been around, your pedals, you know what you like, so you'll be able to, add whatever you want in there and dial in your own tones. But if you want like a shortcuts, there's presets out there that you can use.
All right. Well, I promise.
Don is saying, "Welcome to the Helix rabbit hole," because
Oh, that's what I'm afraid of. You know,
yeah,
my next Stitch Method video, I'm gonna have giant bags under my eyes, my beard's gonna be like this, my hair's gonna be all frizzled, and I'd be like, I don't know what I'm doing. That's be crazy.
or it'll be Eureka. How just right? So it'll be one or the other.
Yeah, true. True. I'm like, ah, that's great.
I got that same Led Zeppelin tone back. I found it.
Yeah, I figured it out, boys.
Figured it out. Yeah, this time
man,
I'm safe.
That's great. It's funny because it has amp settings. Let me ask you a question about the amp settings. So, okay, so say this has amp module settings, right? Like I could be like whatever amp I want.
Right.
Hear me out. Just to get comfortable with it, I could plug my ME80 into the Helix. No? You don't think that's a good idea?
No.
Okay, never mind.
Well, you could.
And like just F around with the amp settings. So I could like hear, I don't know.
Yeah, what you were talking about before, the way you were going to do it, putting it into your Yamaha.
Yes.
That would probably be better for you.
All right. I need to get an A/B switch is what I need. And I need to have my Boss ME80. I need to have my Helix next to each other so I can F around and like just listen back and forth.
Okay.
That's
and then the next day you're going to walk into Sam Ash with your ME80 and take it. I don't need this anymore.
I need 300 packs of D'Addario GT strings.
So Brad Miller is saying he needs to use the HX edit for the settings. So that's the software that goes with it.
Okay.
Right. But the software it's easy to use. And there's a ton of YouTube tutorials on their website, and other people just have their own. So
all right. I'll check it out. I will check it out.
You definitely check it out. Definitely check it.
I mean, that's so funny. Oh God, I will now. I'm really intrigued. I've tried to use it, but again, like in the past, like the past month has been so crazy. And I used to have an electronic drum kit sitting right in this void, like right here, packed it up because I assumed we were going in the RV. So I shed down everything. So I have to get it. I'm sure as soon as I get everything back up and running, the country will open up again. I can go in the RV and tour the country and still do guitar lessons. That's the plan.
Yeah. So tell me about, you do this summer camp thing.
Oh well, it was the Never Lost Live workshop.
One-time deal.
It's a one-time deal. I've done it 3 times.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you've done it 3 times. Okay.
Yeah, and this is like this is the coveted 133-page binder that everyone gets.
Right.
It's a 3-day like guitar intensive workshop that I am not lying to you when I say this.
Okay.
You will learn how everything works. Everything. And I guess like you and I talked about teaching ideology. It's like I guess what the Never Lost Live workshop is in equivalence is, okay, we get anywhere between like 16 to 23 people or so in a room, and we all want to play guitar, and it's a black room, and I start chiseling for 6 miles, and you guys not watch, but then all of a sudden you see the light in the tunnel. And everyone goes, oh my God, there it is. And I go, yes, I showed you the light in the tunnel, and now you get to practice it. And everyone leaves like charged, because I mean, come on, can you learn guitar and how everything works in 3 days? No. But this is like the absolute, for lack of a better term, like guitar hackery of how everything works, crystal clear. I promise you that. And everyone who's taken it has been blown away. I mean, blown away. So I had to cancel my next one because of COVID. So yeah, we'll have to reschedule it and see how it goes. So
we got a couple of comments here. Brad Miller is saying he's referring to what you were saying with the ME80. He says if he takes the settings on the ME80 and dials in his favorite settings from there, it will give him a good starting point. So in other words, if you got ME that you like,
yeah,
you can dial those into the stomp, and that would be a good starting point.
Okay, yeah, trying to match them, right? Trying to be like,
right.
Okay, that's what I figured.
And the original Paramune is saying that you need to go to Savannah, Georgia.
Oh, okay, sure. What's so funny about Savannah, Georgia? So I guess he's in Savannah.
Yeah.
My wife and I were on a road trip, and we got off to go into Savannah because we wanted to see Savannah. We hear it's gorgeous and amazing, but where we went was not gorgeous and amazing. It was like I was like, where are we? Like this is terrible. And like,
banjo music, did you?
No, it was like a scene. I'll tell you what, I'll describe it for you. Just picture like a police academy movie.
Right.
Okay, where you're walking in the city streets and there's a lot of like clownery, like just clownery. I was like, what's happening here? Why is that person barefoot? Is this Savannah right now? And I was like, what's happening? And we both understood. We both said, okay, we obviously took a wrong turn and we were late and had to get out of there. We obviously didn't see Savannah. We were just in some sort of time warp, and we have to go back. So,
funny.
It's a true story. It's a true story.
Well, remember, I was saying to you, we keep this to an hour.
Okay.
But we can go longer. It's up to you. I mean,
I can probably do another like 15 minutes before I got to run and take care of the family and put the kids to bed and all that fun stuff. So let's do it.
You let me know if you want to keep going, because like I said, we still got 65 people in here. And again, so we'll go for another few minutes here.
Yeah, what kind of questions we got? Like I love answering questions. I mean, it's
fire away, answer questions, pick Ian's brain. That's why we're here.
That's the one thing. While we're talking about all this stuff, obviously the one thing I'm not a gearhead, and I'll tell you like where the philosophy comes from. Not that I don't think you don't need it. I feel like all the gear has a job to do, right? And right now, my job is to teach, and I can teach on a guitar. That's it. Right. And I've always been on the I've always been in the mindset of what I call the BB King mentality, which is you and your guitar need to work on the tone, the timing, the dynamics, the feel, and then get yourself into the pedals that will accentuate it. Because I think you and I both know this. If you sound like crap in real life, you're going to sound like crap playing through a pedal.
Yeah.
And so I feel and I'm not dissing gear. I think gear is important when it's time for you to have it and do it. I'm not the mentality of gear to help you sound better, because it's taking away your ability to really play.
Yeah.
So
here's a really good question, actually.
Sure.
Again from Brian, and thanks, Brian, for asking awesome questions. He's asking, newbies on your channel.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm new to your channel. What would be the first video you would recommend to watch?
Okay. It would have to be, it's my Blues Primer playlist video, but the first video, which I think is the Blues Trick #1 video. I feel like that video really encompasses how all of music works. And I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with it. I'll show it to you right now. I mean, here's the video, guys, right? Like, so the idea is, I don't know how loud I need to be if it's going to cut it off, but like, if you're playing a blues in G, you're going to use the G minor pentatonic, but you're forgetting that there's a G7 chord being played in the rhythm section. And this note right here is not in your pentatonic, but you need to play it because it's part of the music. And when you do, you get the blues. And so you got to think about chords, and you got to think about scales and the marriage within. And so that would be the idea. That would be the first video to watch. It really puts this dual path of chords of scales and chords working together in this parallel series going through music. That's my answer.
What I remember about your videos when I got back into it is your one thing that you always emphasize is like target notes.
Targeting.
Right?
Yeah.
Hit those notes. So, because most channels or people will say, "Oh, here's the shape." Well, that's terrific.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But you're like, here's the shape, but here's the notes you want to target. And it's going back to playing along with the chords, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It always is.
Otherwise, you're just playing a bunch of notes and they don't mean it.
Well, it always is going back to your chords. I mean, no matter what, it always is. And that's but the idea is the saturation of chord tones. The more chord tones you put in, you run the risk of like sounding stale. And the more scale you put in, I want to talk to you about this actually. This, okay, politics aside, like just politics aside, please. Obama has this book, right, called The Audacity of Hope, right? And I've never read it. I don't give a crap. But the title is superb. The audacity. And like, I use this of like, hey, the audacity you have as a guitar player to put all the weight on you while you're improvising to make a melody. What audacity do you have? You can't do it. You have to pay attention to your chord tones. Those are there to help you. But for everyone who thinks, man, I've been playing the scale up and down, left and right, and I can't make a melody, it's not up to you to make the melody. You got to target. And in between your targets, and I say this all the time, it's like the, I get so like worked up. The Red Bull airplane flying things, you have the check-in hoops and you fly through this one. And as you come through it, you can do whatever trick you want as long as you go through the next one. And that's what soloing is. As one chord changes, you got to check in with it. You do whatever you want until the next chord change comes.
Exactly.
And that's how important it is.
Do anything as long as you end in the right, or you start. Actually, no, you finish on the next tone.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
And to go back, the Blues Primer playlist. I mean, am I a blues master? No, but to understand how the blues works is to understand how all of music works. The music that you and I love has all of its roots in blues movement, in blues concepts. Before the blues, music was very different. It was, so studying it is really cool. So anyway.
Matt Mueller is asking, what are some common Lydian and or Mixolydian progressions, like 4-5, 5-1, etc., looking to experiment?
Okay. That's a great question. Hey, Matt, by the way, Matt is a fan of Stich Method. I know the name quite well. Okay, so Lydian and Mixolydian, and I can get deep in this, but let's just talk about the more prevalent one, a Mixolydian jam. The Mixolydian jam is so much more prevalent because it sounds great. And okay, so oh my God, how much time do we have, Hack? So
much as you want.
I have a video on my channel. I have a video on my channel called Understanding Modes, and modes in reality are more about the chord progression than it is the scale. That's the truth. If I have a progression of chords that starts on the 5 chord, no matter what the F I do, that's a Mixolydian progression. And if I play the proper scale, which is the key scale on top, it's going to force that key into a Mixolydian sound. Now, yes, a Mixolydian scale has a flat 7 to it, but the only reason you would use it is if you have a Mixolydian progression. So common Mixolydian, to make a long story short, and this is like a crash masterclass, if I have an A Mixolydian progression, okay, that means that we start on the A, and I know this, it's in the key of D. That's what that means. And so you have these chord progressions that are forcing A home in the key of D. Your D major scale is what you want to play because that's the key. It's going to make the scale turn into A Mixolydian no matter what. That's what happens. The chords have the gravity. So now, the flat 7 that you hear in the scale work is really joyous for us to listen to. Lydian, on the other hand, I describe Lydian as like a computer game like music. It's a major scale that has a sharp 4, but in order to like really hear that, you have to really make a Lydian progression, and you have to like write one that really makes it sound like you have this sharp 4 flat 5. It's very hard to do. It's hard to write something in Lydian that sounds so unique. There's a Lydian progression. Am I boring you? Is this okay? Is this okay?
This is why you're here.
Okay, so like, here's a Lydian progression by Tom Petty, right? And I don't know if you can hear my guitar, but it's F, C, A minor, G. Learn to fly. And this is, if you look at the chord, it's in the key of C, but it's 4, 1, 6, 5. So that's a Lydian progression.
Mm-hmm.
the idea is you're not going to solo over that with an F Lydian scale because it just doesn't. It sounds like. So the idea is Lydian is hard. Lydian's very hard to write something. And to make a long story short, I hope I haven't like cleared everyone's head yet. But here's the facts. I'll go over again. Your chord progression. Watch my Understanding Modes video in case you haven't. Your chord progression is going to dictate what mode you're in. The scale, there are different scales you can use, and we can't get into that right now. But if you want to write something in Lydian, okay, this is the truth here. If you want to write something in Lydian, is you just pick a major chord or a major seventh chord, whatever you want, and you practice that root note Lydian scale. So here's an A major, or here's an A major 7. And then the idea is, if with the stagnant chord going behind it, with this chord, you can really hear that. You can really hear that Lydian, but you don't hear that in music. You don't hear a lot of Lydian stuff except for the soundtrack to video games, like. Because it's perpetual motion. I'll stop talking. I don't know if I went over everyone's head, whatever, but it's really hard to write something in Lydian that sounds good. And so you got to keep one chord and then practice your Lydian stuff on top of it.
Well, I like what you said earlier when you were saying that, it's the mode is dictated by the chords, because when I avoided the whole mode talk for years and years because I never understood it. Right?
Yeah.
Because and again, another reason why I think you're good at what you do is, if you want to make yourself sound intelligent, right?
Yeah.
Make something that's simple really hard so that you seem to be the only one that knows it.
That's what modes are. You just nailed it.
Right?
Yes.
But if you say, hey, pick a scale. I got a C major scale.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start this progression on D minor. Oh, that's Dorian.
Yeah.
No, you're playing C major.
You're playing C major.
Second. That's it.
There's
nothing more to it.
There's nothing more to it. It's so, and I know people are like, what? It's so simple. For anyone who is confused, just really type in Stich method modes, and I have a video called Truly Understanding Modes, and it's all about the chord progression. The scales behind it are hard. And
sorry, 1 second. Can I get one of my mods, Brian, if you're still in here, or Dave, if you could find that video and put the link in, that'd be awesome.
Oh, whatever. It's all good. It's all good. And the idea is you can intend to write something in a mode, or you can write something and be like, okay, it's in a mode. But the idea is it's not hard. It's really not hard. It's just what happens is there's 1,000 videos on YouTube that are confusing to watch. And and this is a rule of thumb, by the way, to everyone watching. I got to go in a couple minutes.
Yep.
If you're watching a video and it confuses you, turn it off. Turn it off. Don't wait to see if it makes sense. Don't wait. It's not going to. Because if something confuses you, your chain of thought, your progression of getting it has been cut off. Everything's back to the ground zero. And the answer's up here. You won't be able to climb there. So when you're watching a video on YouTube, if it doesn't make sense, turn it off, watch another one. Watch a different teacher or another video. One that makes sense from the beginning to the end. That's the only way you're going to learn. I promise you.
And that's how I discovered your channel, because I was just doing what you just said. It's like, man, that sounds really complicated. Oh, it's not,
Yeah, it's not. That's good. Yeah. Anyway, I gotta get running. I just didn't talk forever, but I have so much stuff to do with the kids, and now that we're
I think the audience, speaking for the audience, appreciate you so much doing this. Anytime you want to come back, you just let me know.
Dude, we can do this once a week. It's like a podcast. We can do I love it. I love it. So,
absolutely awesome. I want to thank Stich for coming on and doing this. Again, if you are not sub to Stich, I have the link below. I have the link in the cards. Check them out. For the new people that were in the chat, if you want to sub my channel, that would also be much.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you're fans of Stich Method, sub here. I mean, you guys, I'm going to watch your Steve Stein thing, and I'm going to type in and be like, hey, Steve, we should work together sometime, man.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be
great.
And also, if you want to support the channel, links below. I've got T-shirts, I've got mugs, I've hoodies, all that kind of good stuff. I have an Instagram page, Facebook page. It's all down below. As what I'm trying to do is grow like a community here of folks, and put on stuff like this and have great guests on like yourself.
That's great. Well, maybe if next summer NAMM is on, we can all meet up and do like a live thing together. That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Awesome.
All right, hang on for a second, Stitch. I'm just going to shut this down. I want to thank everybody again so much.
Yeah, thank you.
No worries. Cheers. And folks, so next week, fingers crossed, Steve Stein will be on with me next Thursday. And have a great rest of your week, folks, and have a great weekend, and we'll see you.
Take care, guys. Thanks for chiming in.
Take care.